Let's go back to Discord and talk to a few more people. You can find our Discord at davidpakman.com/Discord. Let's go to Janelle from Baltimore. Janelle, welcome back to the program. Great to see you. Great to hear from you. What's on your mind today? And please unmute yourself, Janelle.
Sorry about that. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Doing well.
I have a question. I don't know a lot about the financial stuff. I listen to you talk about the stock market and stuff, and I'm like, well, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I just listen to you because um, I agree with you on other political things, so I'm taking your word for it a lot of the time.
Okay.
But anyway, my question is about like finances and stuff and what the top 1% plan is here, because like maybe you can make that clear. They're making everything more expensive: rent, housing, uh products, the costs of services are going up, 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 but paychecks are not going up. So
Well, I
what
don't know
is
what you
their
mean by
plan
the
here?
plan necessarily, Janelle. I think what you're getting at is if the cost of everything continues to increase relative to wages, eventually everything will break. Is that sort of what you're getting at?
Yes, we're looking at a collapse if something doesn't change. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, but I would push back a little bit that that's what's going on because we've now had a period in the United States where wage growth has exceeded inflation. So, in a literal sense, that has been turned around to some degree. Now, that doesn't fix a whole bunch of problems. You can still end up in bankruptcy because of medical expenses. In many developed Western nations, that can't happen. That's a problem that's got to be fixed. Cost of living in big cities is totally out of step with wages. So in order to work in the big cities, you often have to move outside and now you've got to commute and the commute costs money. So there are a ton of problems. But I also think it's important to recognize that we are seeing wage growth that exceeds inflation on average. That doesn't mean everybody is in this situation, but on average, we are seeing wage growth exceed inflation right now.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah, because I was just starting to wonder if they knew things were gonna collapse, so they were just like cashing in and before they had to get out or
Well,
something.
I
I have
think you're
no idea.
giving a little too much agency. First of all, the bottom limit of the top 1% is not the people that are like controlling many of these markets. It's still people who are doing well, but it's important to talk about that the bottom of the top 1% is, I don't think, the folks you're thinking of necessarily, but I think the bigger issue here is a lot of these systems that need to be fixed are bigger than any one group of people. No matter what you'll be told about, the Illuminati or the Bilderbergs or whatever. These are bigger systems that often we need to elect a bunch of people at federal and state levels and then allow them to go and carry through the policy changes that we elect them in order to enact. It's bigger than just like a small group of wealthy people controlling stuff, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, that's good to know because it's starting to feel tight around here, you know what I'm saying?
I understand. I understand. Well,
All
Janelle, we're
right.
going to keep an eye on it. I appreciate the call.
Okay, thanks for explaining
All right,
again.
there goes Janelle from Baltimore. Let's go next to Rose from Oregon. Rose, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Hey Dave, happy Friday.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you think maybe that the recent rise in fuel prices are a move by big oil to modify perception of the president and they're going to hold out until November.
You know, I haven't seen exactly. I admit here that because I have an electric vehicle, I don't always follow gas prices super closely. What I'm seeing is gas prices are down over the last month from about 369 to 355. So it's pretty modest. Here's the thing, Rose. We have a situation, and then I'll get to the specific question you're asking. We have a situation in the United States where gas prices don't accurately reflect the total real cost, including the externalities of a gallon of gas. If you go to Europe, gas is more than twice the price. And you can argue that in Europe, the price more accurately reflects the true cost of gas, and that that's what we should be paying here in the United States. And if we were, we would see a dramatic shift to electric and super high mileage gas powered vehicles and so on and so forth. But the truth is, on an inflation adjusted basis, 350 a gallon isn't very high. A lot of people are still thinking of nominally 350 now is the same as 350 in 2019. But think about the actual price inflation and wage increases we've seen since 2019 before the pandemic. On an inflation adjusted basis, 350 a gallon is a very reasonable price. That's number one. Secondly, I have no evidence right now that there is any sort of conspiracy to affect global markets such that it will hurt Joe Biden in November. And to be honest, 15 cents plus or minus, which it's argued that sort of the unilateral manipulations that anyone could make, we're talking about a temporary 10 to 15% delta on gas prices. I don't know that Biden wins or loses over a 15% change in gas prices. So I'm not saying what you're suggesting is impossible. I just don't have any evidence for it.
Yeah, I just feel like here in Oregon, we were hovering a lot closer to $4, and then we've been rolling closer to like 4.60.
Well, I
and
think
higher.
West Coast gas is more expensive. It's always the case. That's true.
I mentioned it just because somebody that I work with is a conspiracy theorist, and they just sort of like mentioned it, and so that's always my pulse as to what's going on in another
the thing
hemisphere.
about that is you have to go a layer deeper and say, okay, so who benefits from Biden losing that also controls oil markets?
Well, I think if we look at like the Saudi family and how much they love Kushner and the gang, then that's definitely one market to look at.
Sure. Then that's the obvious one I would go to. At this point, from everything I've been reading about the Saudi royal family, and I've read a number of books about the Saudi royal family now, whatever sort of personal relationship they have with Jared Kushner, I think is counterbalanced by the fact that they want to be in business with the United States. And to some degree, they want to be in a normalized situation with Israel. And they benefit from keeping things calm and working with a stable person, which they see Joe Biden as being. So I would even question the motive aspect that the Saudi royal family would definitely want Trump over Biden. And once you question that, then the entire thing kind of falls apart.
Well, I would hope so. I have a second part to my question, which is, predictions, which I know you don't love to do. But do you think that rolling towards November, we'll see any more dream list rollouts? Like we're seeing marijuana being rescheduled. There's been student debt relief. Do you think that we'll see anything else as we lead up to the election as a way to sway public opinion?
I have no idea. I think that it is likely that Biden will try to do one more notable legislative thing in September-ish, but I don't have any guesses as to what that would be.
Okay.
All right, Rose, thanks. Great to hear from you.
Thanks, David.
All right, there goes Rose. Always great to hear.